Good evening, Final Fantasy Randomizer. Fans and people who are viewing the channel, it's wibbly, it's wobbly, who cares? It's Saturday, and we've got a last chance qualifier. Isn't that right, DVS?
That is absolutely right. We have one spot left on the Spring Tournament 2020 bracket, and our racers today are vying for that one spot. As we said, it's the last chance qualifier because this is the last chance they have to get into the Spring Tournament.
Yeah, and we've got a fun little selection today of blessings that we're going to try and run through real quick. So, the fighter, as we see over on Pickles and Beers' side, has plus 40 HP, plus 15 MDef, but gains strength at the same rate a Black Mage does. The Thief picks up plus 20 hit points, plus 15 strength, but loses out on 1 hit percent per level. The Black Belt gains plus 40 vitality, plus 10 strength, but loses out on 10 magic defense. Red Mage isn't appearing on these new runners' boards, so it's fine, we don't care. They got magic defense, vitality, loss of agility. White Mage gets 2 extra points of MP at level 1, gains strength like a fighter, loses out on vitality. And the Black Mage gets plus 7 luck, a defense sword, and cannot wear bracelets.
Yeah, I think we were talking a little bit about the party selection at the beginning of, as we were getting ready for the restream. And it doesn't seem like there's any one class that's, like, super buffed from these, and there's not really a class that's really nerfed. So I feel like this gives our runners the opportunity to just run whatever standard 4-man party they normally run and try to do the best they can with it.
I definitely would bring a melee other than Thief for this particular set of blessings. I probably would still bring a Thief because I'm suboptimal, but...
No, I mean, like, with all the buffs that we have to the Thief is a much... Like, the Thief is... that and the White Mage are 2 classes that we're going to see a lot more of here in Spring Tournament. The Thief, because they have an extra 80 agility to start with, and the White Mage, due to the fact that when the White Mage casts Harm, it can actually damage any enemy and not just undead.
And that's whether they're casting it with their spells or with an item, which is useful, because sometimes you just find a random harm sword and it's like, okay, well, my White Mage is reliable AoE damage for the rest of the seed.
Though I do like what Classic Gamer said with the White Mage gaining fighter strength. That White Samurai strat becomes a legitimate possibility if all else fails.
Yeah. So we are off. So we do have 6 runners in this race, the other 4 being broadcast on Speed Gaming at some point or somewhere. But here in our magic shops, off the bat, we've got that Harm 4. So White Mage is set for damage, especially with that plus 2 level 1 MP. And then I think we have Quake Lock and Lit 3 for Black Magic.
Yeah. And we have some pretty decent armor to start, but those golds are super expensive. If you're looking for that white magic, or really the magic to start this off, it's nice to have a good AoE with white magic and a good AoE with black magic. Cake is also a nice thing to throw out just to have in the back pocket. Not sure we're going to see much of it. And Ike here getting trance imps. We'll see if Pickles and Beer gets regular imps with Dazzle.
Yeah, I'm gonna admit, there would be a part of me, we also saw Rub at level 1 black. I'd be tempted to take that just for the memes.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Garland has no magic defense. You can instant kill him with almost anything.
Oh wow, that's a loose chime there in the top left corner of Temple of Fiends. So
yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, so just to let all of our onlookers know, we do have 2 loose items in this particular flag set that are not in incentive dungeons. So that is one of our 2 loose items, which means that you might see our runners opening fewer boxes than normal, just because they're not expecting to, or hoping that that last loose item isn't really going to be impactful.
See, I'm just hoping that we're going to see the cube and the ship out of the King and Princess right now.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of early
Well, there's the canal.
I mean, well, that's halfway there pretty much. We just need that ship in the cube, and we'll be good to go.
Sky.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of early sky plays so far in this tournament. I think, oh, that brings up another flag. The fact that we have a new logic that's been built into the randomizer, which allows for the ship and canal to be outside of the inner sea if they're not required. So if there is a floater here in the inner sea, that actually might end up changing some of our placement.
But for the moment, like we've got at least Pickles and Beer heading up toward Matoya. So when we say non-incentive dungeons, that means anywhere that has boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And Matoya, ooh, that's a Brack helmet. That free Brack is not something anyone is ever going to complain about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what that means is anywhere that has chests that doesn't have an incentive chest in it. So not Ordeals, not Marsh Cave, not Earth Cave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any one of those boxes can have our other loose item in it. So, we already saw that in Temple of Fiends, but Matoya counts as a possible location, the Titan's Tunnel counts, the Waterfall counts, because NPCs do not count as incentive chests for the purposes of the flag that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the one thing...
aren't boxes.
And the other thing, and we have level 2 already. Fade, Invis 2, Cure 3, and Exfer all sitting at level 2 white magic. We'll see if black magic can compensate, and there's Nuke.
Yeah. Find a life spell and you don't need to look at another magic shop for the rest of the game. I'm gonna be honest here.
Yeah.
You've got a Brack source, you've got plenty of good AoE, you got an instant kill if you want to throw that out, you got a Ruby, that doesn't do us any good.
Yeah, I mean, the only other things that you could think about would be, like, Fast Saber, but we've got so much already going in. You could look for Wall, you could, like, kind of have a little cross your fingers and hope for Cure 4, but this covers basically everything that your bare minimum of magic that you would need.
We do see +4 wooden armor. I'm not gonna lie, I would have also grabbed some for my black belt, just to throw that on until they're in their mid-teens.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny because even things like the glove, when I see a glove +4 and a cap +3, I'll absolutely take those. I mean, just because their base absorb is very low doesn't mean that you kind of throw them out of the way when you see a good blursing. They're going to be cheap. They're going to be decent absorb. Yeah, definitely not something I'd overlook.
Yeah, no, 100%, because you also have to take in consideration, just like, especially in your mages, that's pretty much the best defensive gear you're going to see unless you find a ribbon, or until you find some pro rings, and even then, a pro ring that rolls low, like, the death resistance is the only reason to take that.
Yeah, exactly. And that does remind me that we do have that malice on the black mage, which is preventing them from wearing gold bracelets or silver bracelets. So really anything that you could give to that black mage, we reference caps and cloth and gloves, which again you kind of overlook in the vanilla, but when you're running a randomizer and those could blurse up +4, absolutely things that you'd want to take.
Yeah. So the streak of continuing to get things we don't need out of these checks, that is a bottle. So far we have a ruby we can't turn in, a chime we can't do anything with, and a bottle we can't turn in. Oh, and a canal we can't cruise through.
Whole bunch of nothing is basically what we got, and really the only play that we have is Marsh Cave.
We could check the item shop in Elfland.
True. That is... You know what? That's actually interesting. I feel like I wouldn't rely on that, just kind of given the gold situation. But then again, we have that Brack helm sitting in our inventory, and if needed, that could absolutely make up for some money that you'd want for that chest.
Well, at the same time, though, if you do check that item shop first, and it turns out that that's your progression, and it's a lot of money, then you know, okay, I need to dig some of these chests in Marsh Cave. I need the cash.
Yeah. I mean,
And there might be a warp or an exit in Elfland too, but both of these runners deciding, I'm just going to go ahead and hit Marsh Cave. I've got plenty of firepower, and I can run away from everything.
speaking of pro rings, rolling -1 for this seed. Pickles and Beer put it on their white mage and that opal +1, and that is going on also the white mage.
I don't hate it. Right now, that white mage with that harm 4 and that +2 level 1 MP fears nothing
Right.
in this dungeon. That's non-elemental damage, AoE, and it can hit everything. Like, yeah, I'd do the same thing. I'd go ahead, suit up the white mage, and worst case scenario, it can get me out of here.
I mean, if you need some extra firepower, you can drop that pro ring on the black belt, because nothing's really going to take over an opal +1 at the moment. But I agree with you that with the +1, you've got harm 3 at level 1, you've got cure 3 at level 2. That's all of your healing, that's all of your AoE damage. There's really no reason not to just buff up the white mage and even let the black mage take a nap if that ends up happening.
And with that adamant, I suspect, based on how these two have routed so far, we are going to see both of them make a trip back to the Dwarf Cave.
Yeah, we saw our first route divergence of the seed, which was Pickles and Beer picking up that extra chest to the right side of the incentive item, holding an Ice Sword -1, which is going to be a nice little addition for their fighter, essentially allowing that melee option to actually be able to do something in case something happens to that white mage and that black mage. So Pickles and Beer definitely benefiting from that. Ikir could care less because he couldn't equip it anyway, but it's definitely something that Pickles is happy to see.
I mean, the thing is Ikir probably would have liked to have the money from selling that Ice Sword, and depending on when we find the tail, you know, Ikir is going to be depending on that black belt to carry, but if we don't find a good grind, and it looks to me like we might have a nice long run off of reset, so the odds of us finding a good grind have gone are drastically lowered because of that.
Yeah.
So, being said, all right, there's the ship. Now, does Pickles and Beer remember where the ship goes?
That's always a good question, forgetting about this little dock here up to the north. It's always exciting whenever we get some of the new runners around here, and they end up finding the ship in Ice Cave or Volcano, and just start randomly wandering around the inner sea, desperately trying to figure out where their ship is.
Alright, so there's that timber you were worried about, along with Quadex and Saber, so that's going to be nice for both runners if they wind up with a ninja in hand.
Yeah. Oof, and that ruse at level 3 is definitely night learnable, so that's something you're going to want to keep on. I like the lamp pickup. We do, in this flag set, have the buffed heal spells, so that lamp actually cures stun, which is actually a very, very important thing to pick up. And I do want to point out we also have Ikir doing a bit of route divergence, prioritizing this ruby turn-in over the magic.
I don't hate it. Start is going to have an item. These are 4 chests you can pop open, making your life a little bit easier. But looking at level 4 magic, I'm seeing a heal 3 and a harm 3 on white, and then we've got ice 3, lock 2, and fire 3 on black. So, solid level 4 magic. You know, you've got that low level nuke, you've got that low level fade. So damage-wise, we're not necessarily hurting, but it's still good to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think you brought it up earlier, Ike here also getting some good money from this. So he's not going to have to worry about, having to sell different items or not having enough to do a full... Like, there's nothing worse than going through Elfland and finding out you don't have enough money for that level 4 black magic you were hoping for. So this gives them the opportunity to get this key item, also get enough money to come back and do a full shopping spree.
Yeah. Ike here, I think, honestly, is going to have a little bit cleaner routing, though, because we got that crystal out of Sparta. So Ike here has the option of turn this into Matoya and then go down to Elfland, whereas Pickles and Beer, a little bit more back and forth. Can't just kind of put together 2 trips to the Inner Sea into one.
Yeah, and we are hyper-linear right now with this seed. I mean, the fact that we don't have the we don't have the canoe, means that really our only option are this Matoya turn-in, the Sages at Crescent Lake, and the highly unlikely but potential shop in Onrak that could have our loose item.
Yeah. Yeah, Onrak or Crescent. Excuse me. Can have our shop item still.
Oh, right. I forgot that Crescent could also have that shop item.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, like, there are a few options, but I think at the moment, if you're these runners, you're going to chase that crystal. It's it's relatively close. It's less likely to get you murdered on your way to the turn-in, unlike going to Crescent Lake.
Yeah, the one thing that is really going to start coming into play, just looking at IQ's screen and getting these unrunnable arachnids, is use of camping gear. We do have like a moderate run off the hard reset. This feels like one of those seeds where you buy 80 tents at the beginning of the game and then have to buy another 80 tents towards the end game. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how they respond to it.
Yeah. In the meantime, though, Ike here does make it back to Melmond. Pickles and Beer is hot on his heel. It looks like Pickles did pick up some extra tents, just based on how much quicker he's maneuvering. But in the meantime, we did finally find our life spell sitting here at level 5 white, and our fast at level 5 black. So, as far as, like, necessities, I think we're good now. We've got our buff, we've got our revival, we even have Invis 2, so, like, we're good. But there's that you were talking about.
Yeah, there's not really much left. I mean, again, now it's trying to think through the list and saying, like, what would even be worth buying, as opposed to our typical, which is, we need something. I feel like with this particular run, we've gotten 2 very different types of seeds for the last chance qualifier and the play-in race. Last night's was in the air in less than 10 minutes, and this one is incredibly linear. So this one's going to be more execution-based, where the other one is a little bit more strategy and routing-based.
So, you say linear, but we did just get the canoe.
True.
So, here's where things get interesting. If you're these runners, you have options now. You can go to Crescent, you can go to up to Ice Cave and Volcano. You can go to Crescent and then bail and go over to Ordeals. You could take a chance on Onrak. You, at this point, have 2 of the 4 remaining item shops that could have your vendor item in that area, plus the waterfall. So it's one of those things. This is a group race. It's a small group, but it's still a group race, and only the winner advances into the brackets. So, at what point, now that the seats opened up a bit, do you say something like, you know what, I'm going to go to Onrak. It's the low percentage play, most people aren't going to make it, but if it pays off, I've gained a huge time advantage.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Even, trying to take that to the next step, which is, you have Crescent Lake and Onrack and the Caravan, which are your three shops that are readily available at the moment. Are you going to do, I'm going to hit Ordeals, Ice Cave, and Volcano for lots of money, some extra experience, and potentially a grind? Or am I going to try to do Onrack, Vendor, and Waterfall, hoping to get that, risky low percentage play that you actually could end up paying out in this kind of a race?
So, thanks to Pickles and Beer, we now know that what's the phrase I'm looking for here? We now know that, like, it's now a 2 in 3 chance that our vendor item is sitting somewhere near Onrack. And Ike here knows that too now. So, we also do see Warp. I think that was the one spell I forgot about on our list of things you really want. And we also saw Wall at level 6, so now we definitely don't care what's at the other levels of magic.
Yeah, I think 6 tops it off. We've seen Temper fast, we've seen Warp. We don't have Exit, but really, who cares when you have a Warp available? You have Nuke, Fade, Harms, Lives, pretty much all of the above. It looks like Pickles...
Go ahead.
It looks like Pickles is heading over to his ship to... I don't know exactly where. Ikeir was heading
Probably
up the
turn
river
the crown. I was going to say, I would wager we're going to go turn in the crown on one of these runners' sides.
Okay, I didn't quite see what happened on Ikeir's screen there, but logic is telling me that he got wiped in the river system, and he's been very loose with his saving. He's been kind of like getting key items, taking a good chunk of steps before trying to do a save, and I think it might have finally bit him there.
Yeah. And it looks like we're going to get the rod out of this Astos kill, if my eyes didn't deceive me.
Yeah, that looks like it, and that quad X is going to make that a very quick fight.
Yeah. Yep,
so,
alright.
What would you do? Would you go north and do that rod turn in, or would you head south to the Onrack continent?
See, alright, so I'm not a good runner, so I have to kind of take some risky maneuvers. In this case, I think what I do is I go Ordeals and then I go to Onrack. Because Ordeals, I know, has enough high-value encounters. With the firepower I've got, I can just get to like level 13 or 14 just going through Ordeals and taking all the fights that are worth it, assuming nothing is instantly going to murder me. And then I go over to Onrack. I take that 2/3 gamble that my vendor item's over there, I get that item out of Waterfall, and I see where the seed's taking me from there.
Yeah, I definitely think that's I think that's a very strong play. I mean, I think that the one advantage you get with the Earth Cave is that you end up getting the, not only an orb, but you also get whatever item is hidden back there. The downside being you have situations like this where it's hard to run away from some of these enemies. You might end up with a nasty skill or spell. There's a lot more unknowns here in Earth Cave, and the fact that if you had an airship, then getting to and from Earth Cave is substantially faster. So I think the south play is the higher percentage play. So we'll see from Pickles and Beer whether or not kind of the gamble of going to Earth Cave ends up paying off.
Yeah, it is one of those things where it's sort of a mixed bag, because you do also have to account for, like, checking your incentive locations has paid off a lot in the spring tournament. And when I say checking your incentive, I mean just checking an incentive that you've just gained access to. I think that it's not going to matter what we think, because both of these runners are continuing to follow the same route.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think really the difference between them now is that Whoa! Ikir, save.
Yeah, so Ikir though, I understand why he's doing this. He's got that black belt, and there are 3 spike tiles on this floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm totally fine with this play here at the Hall of Giants. It just got me nervous when he didn't save before entering Earth Cave to go to the Hall of Giants. Ooh.
There's your... If you have a sweeping item, here's your grind.
Right. Well, and let's see how much hit points these guys have, too.
Okay, maybe this isn't your grind, but we do have a Flame +3 armor on Pickles and Beers' side.
Yeah, well, there's a Pro Cape, which is... and the Oxyale.
Alright, my gamble to on-rack wouldn't have paid off.
Yeah, I mean, it's like... Well, and then we also have that Brack +4 helm, which, again, I think that if you're looking at probabilities, you get a higher percentage of key items, like valued key items, if you head south towards the on-rack continent. I think proximity play, it's the Earth Cave. But again, the probability that Oxyale... The probability of Oxyale's location is more likely down in on-rack than it was up here, so the fact that they found it is very nice for our 2 runners.
Yeah, and honestly, with Speedboat, I say it wouldn't have paid off, but honestly, having to double back to on-rack when you have Speedboat is not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Really, it's only a problem if our floater is loose in sea.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm looking at Ikir's grind at the moment. He did end up getting a pack of 6, which gave about 2,700 hit points. So that is going to be a huge chunk of experience if he can take the pack down. The problem is, when do you start whittling down party members? How do you end up going through this grind to build up a black belt when the black belt doesn't have any AoE spells? So we'll see how...
It could also be one of those things Ikir may not be thinking, this is going to be his black belt grind. This may be just, let's use this grind to get the black belt up to useful.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a fair play. Pickles and Beer at S-Bump over on the right-hand side. That Ice Sword doing a little bit of damage. It just took a couple fades and nukes, and we have our first Orblit here right around 25 minutes.
So, I didn't look too carefully. Did IQ see what the second encounter in the Hall of Giants is?
I don't think he checked it yet.
Yeah. So, for folks who may not be familiar with this, it turns out, and we only discovered this when we introduced, spike tile encounters, shuffling. There's actually 2 different encounters in the Hall of Giants. They just have the same formation on them, but when you shuffle these forced encounters, you actually get 2 different groups of enemies.
Well, not only that, if you're trying to figure out where Metal Slimes had a spike tile in the vanilla game, you're probably going to have a bad time, because there were some quote-unquote spike tile encounters that weren't actually programmed into the actual game, which is where the Metal Slimes come from. So, good old things that you find out when you shuffle the game.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things. There's a lot of information about Final Fantasy I that I don't know how aware people were of it until the randomizer came around.
Mm-hmm. Like even the key door in Topher is something that wasn't really discovered until the rando, because you have to get the key in progression, so why would they put a key lock door in the final dungeon? But hey, it makes for good races, and good time for us here watching the races.
So Ikir ran back to Melman to heal up. I guess didn't have any houses. I think Pickles and Beer did.
Yeah, he had one.
He's going to keep picking some up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like they're both around level 15 or so at the moment. I'm not sure what number they're looking for. typically with this flag set, low 20s, mid 20s is all you really need to get through Topher, especially with this set of magic. So they actually might be doing, well, in Pickles and Beer's case, they might actually be doing more harm than good by grinding up too high.
At the same time, I don't necessarily hate it. This is, it's easy, and it means that you can use that thief's ability to run from things in dungeons where the fights might be longer. Yeah, I was about to say, honestly, if Pickles just takes this to like 16 or 17 or 18, that's going to be enough to carry you through the rest of the seed if you just sort of take your forced encounters on the way.
Yeah, I think one of the things I end up doing is getting an encounter like that and deciding, okay, I'm just going to go until I run out of nuke charges, and whatever level I'm at, that's going to be where I leave. But it looks like Pickles is satisfied with whatever level he ended up with, and now it's a matter of, does he head down to Ordeals, or does he go to Waterfall or Sea Shrine?
And someone calling us out for our pronunciation of Topher. T-O-F-R, the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Temple of Fiends Revisited being the final dungeon in the game. Basically our end goal in trying to light our 4 orbs by defeating the 4 fiends, finally getting into Temple of Fiends Revisited, and finishing off the game by terminating Chaos.
Yeah, so Pickles and Beer with Oxyale in hand, now making these plays. Gonna go hit Ordeals and then hit Onrak. I don't hate it. If I can avoid taking the river up to Ice Cave and Volcano, I will every time.
Not a big fan of that particular little river?
So, here's the thing. I've noticed that in spite of the fact there's only like 3 possible enemies in that river system, one of them always rolls something god-awful. And if, like, you have the Caribs rolling, like, an AoE thing, whether it's a beneficial thing or something that targets you, it just wastes so much time.
Not to mention those Frost Gators, which usually have tons of HP and defense, and
What about
usually
Frost
hit
Gators in the southern continent? Do we?
I think they're all in the northern continent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Frost Gators are in the northern continent. I'm talking about the southern river system, the one that's Ice Cave.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking Waterfall. I don't... Okay.
Yeah,
It's a day.
Waterfall is in cool colors, but it is not in fact an ice cave.
That is true. That is true.
Alright, so Ikir's got his orb lit, and his Oxyale in hand, so...
Yeah, I feel like there's got to be some sort of separation moment that Ikir's hoping for, because right now, if it's just execution-based, Pickles and Beer has a pretty distinct lead, but... Whoa, and a ribbon.
Ribbon, so not great, but...
Yeah. I mean, but there's also a good chance that anyone running a black belt party might not open that chest. Okay,
but here's the thing. Sky, 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 sky. Like, Pickles, if Pickles was planning to go to Honorak, that might have just gotten derailed with that cube.
Yeah, absolutely. Just because, I mean, really we only have 2 more items that we need in order to beat the game, and we now have 4 locations, or 4 potential key items available to us in Sky, Waterfall, the shop, and the Loose. So...
Nice.
And Ice, yes. I was like, I knew there was another one that I wasn't thinking about. Yeah, absolutely, I think Sky's the play.
So yeah, so Sky's the play in my mind for two reasons. One, there is that incentive location after Cube.
Mm-hmm.
But two, with the levels Pickles and Beer picked up doing that mini grind in Earth Cave, he's got all the firepower he needs. He can pick and choose his fights in Sky and pretty much hit his end game levels before he's done with Sky.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
But
I
it
wouldn't
doesn't
be
look like
worried.
that's what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
That is... Okay, Pickles, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
You see, he might be going back to Crescent Lake to pick up, like,
That level 6
some of these
magic.
spells. Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense, because I was going to say, if this is a play to, like, Ice Cave, that's not where you want to dock if you're going straight to Ice Cave, and you have a ship. Yeah, there we go. He wanted that warp. Ikir, meanwhile, looks like skipped out on Ordeals, headed straight to Onrak. So, we're gonna find out what's chilling here in the Waterfall Cave. Or, as my co-commentator thinks of it, Ice Cave Part 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, and Ikir once again doing the no save strats. Woof. With Thunder Mudgalls.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Though I guess I have thought through a similar strategy before where I think he saved pretty close to Onrak itself, so that if something happens and he gets bounced out, then he can just go right to Onrak.
Or he hit, or whatever's here is like
unimportant.
Yeah, like I think the tail is about the only thing he might turn down at this point, just because you are using this black belt strat.
Yeah,
but,
that is one of those things that I keep coming up to with these flags, which is, what is a quote-unquote, like, dud item? And the definition of it can change rapidly between whether or not you find the tail as a dud, if you need the ruby, or if you already have the airship, how many loose items you have.
Well, there's the Masa -1.
Yeah. That answers a lot of questions for Pickles and a
fast sword. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Pickles is opening another box once he gets off this floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's really, especially, that you've got the Power Bonk and the Ruse Stick that are key items. Already where a bunch of your key items have to be. There's really not much of a reason to try to keep opening stuff. I think he's got to be thinking go, 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 go.
Yeah, your loose item can't be here anyway. But speaking of loose, there's the floater.
Okay, so loose floater picked up the slab from the robot. We haven't seen the key or the loot. So it depends on what Pickles finds here. Because if Pickles finds the key or the loot, and if Ike here finds the key or the loot for sale here in the shop, then Pickles might hit go mode before... Nope. Looks like our shop item's stuck over in Gaia.
Haven't seen the caravan yet.
He did go to the caravan. There wasn't anything up there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have the floater. Who cares? We can get over to Gaia in seconds, and we have the bottle too. But it looks like Ike here may be thinking, I've got a Brack helmet. I've got a party that's already in the high teens. Let's just go ahead and have some calamari.
Wait, was that Death Touch, or was that...
I was looking at Ike here's screen.
Yeah, I think that might have been Death Touch on those evil men.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see if he hits that again coming through, because that could be some pretty... Well, actually, you know what? You don't really see them for most of the rest of this dungeon, so he should be okay. but definitely something that's not good for
Topher.
For Topher, yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So here's the thing right now, because again, this is a group race, and only the first person to finish moves on to brackets. If anyone who made the play for Ice Cave early, unless there is some substantially good equipment in there, they're behind.
Yeah.
Like they have needed time to people who faded ice. Because anything that's there, you can, like, at this point you've got, like, Ikir has warp, Ikir has has airship access available. Ikir also apparently got his world rocked by whatever on Earth is in sea. But the bottom line, I don't know. It's one of those things. The ice cave into full clear volcano play is very common in this spring tournament. I wouldn't be surprised if, half of the field went ice first.
Right.
And I'm sure that there are people in chat who are watching both screens who could very easily let us know what's up there. Also, I think we saw a Coral +3 out of one of these boxes.
Yeah, which is perfect. I think it was the greed check in Earth 4. Or,
yeah, did I hear her go ahead and strap that to the thief?
Yeah, Piggles went right up to the thief, threw it on him, and now the thief actually has something to swing. Well, with the strength buff, it's going to do a little bit of damage, but not as many hits. But anyway, like, he's got something on everybody now. Like, and as you were saying about Ice Cave, like, we have everything. We have a ribbon, we have the massa. We don't really have fantastic armor except for that opal on the white mage, which is kind of all you need. And a war mech.
Yeah, there's war mech. Looks like Pickle's going to run away. I don't hate this play because that is a war mech with blades, and you have one ribbon.
Yeah, that's... I mean, you'd have to have a pretty special scenario to want to take that war mech if it's got Blaze first turn. And he's just very thankful that it's not an unrunnable war mech with Blaze.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I could see if someone dug a ribbon out of Ice Cave, it almost balancing things, but yeah, like, in this situation, fading Ice Cave, I think, is the ideal routing decision.
Absolutely, especially with getting that floater. And we do have Kraken and Tia here on dueling Fiend bosses. Looks like both of them are a little bit indecisive. Brat coming out for Tia and missing. Wall, Invis 2 strats for Ikir. The Black Belt doing a decent amount of damage, but nothing phenomenal happening at the moment. Pickle's doing just kind of spell offense, not really worried about the thief. That Massa doing a ton of damage, so it looks like Pickles is going to be done with his Tia relatively soon.
Yeah, and right there, Quad X on Tia, you love to see it.
Yeah, it looks like this Kraken fight's going just about the same. With the Invis cast, the Kraken hasn't really been doing anything. There's occasional tempers that went out, but it shouldn't take too many more rounds.
Yeah, Ikir making sure to keep that white mage up. But losing the black belt to a stun, that's a little suboptimal, but you got fade shots.
Yeah, that 300 damage on Fade is quite nice, and since he already cast that wall, not really worried about that blizzard.
Yeah, but maybe a little bit worried about getting punched in the face by Kraken.
Yeah, use the Harm 4. It should be pretty close to death by this point.
I wonder where he put his Brack helmet. Because I think because he went to Matoya's cave. He should have a Brack helmet.
Yeah, I don't know if he just wasn't thinking about it because that was such a long time ago in terms of this seed. Finally getting the water orb lit and doing a little bit of restocking before he ends up turning in that floater and making his way through the rest of the seed.
Yeah. All right, so at this point, Ike here, Volcano. So how the rest of the seed's going to shake out for Ike here is going to depend on sort of his looting order, or on his dungeoneering order. And when he goes to ordeals. Right now, he doesn't know where the cube is. So he may opt to go ahead and do Ice Cave and Volcano and then do ordeals. He could also opt for go to Gaia, get my 2 items there, go down to Lefane, get my item there. But he's in the boat, he's right here, he's opting for the proximity play and going ahead and doing ordeals. So
I like it. I was gonna say I like it because, you know, this is like the one time that doing something with the boat is faster than doing something with the airship. So hitting up ordeals prior to getting the floater and then figuring out where to go after that sounds like a pretty straightforward play.
Yeah. So the other thing to take into account, though, with this cube in hand, I assume that we're going to see Ike here make a play for Sky before Volcano. And that will be good news for him. Because he's almost certainly going to loot that first floor, find that Masa, and know, okay, I'm good.
Though the one thing Ike here has to worry about that Pickles doesn't is, what do I do with my black belt? We still haven't, it doesn't seem like he's invested in a solo black belt grind. That thief has a lowered hit percent, though buffed strength. Not really set to carry a thief, even though you've got tons of extra magic. So I think Ike here's in a place to be a little bit more worried about his current situation than Pickles and Beer is.
You got an Opal +1 bracelet. Ike here's about to find a ribbon. We know there's an easily accessible Masa, even if it's -1. Honestly, at this point, if I'm Ike here, I would probably just go, you know what? The black belt's going to be good for cracking bosses. It's got plenty of health because of that vitality blessing it's been lugging around. I'm just going to roll with a mid-20s black belt. It's not god tier, but it will get me through a lot of fights that I have no business winning.
Yeah, I mean, it can even be a little bit of a meat shield for the ninja with a Massa -1. Like, there's a couple of options there available, and if he picks up that fast sword as well as the Massa on that first floor of Mirage, then again, it's just more and more evidence to get you some extra beef out of that low-level black belt.
Yeah, and Ike here taking the opportunity to pick up some extra levels as well. So, you know, basically, I think Ike here is able to make that adjustment to go, you know, I walked into this with a black belt, but, you know, once I have, you know, assuming he picks up that Masa, with that Masa in hand, I think at that point you go, yeah, I'm just going to take this I'm just going to take this thief. The black belt is now my backup melee.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Hey, and as was brought up earlier, we still have that white samurai option. We found Ruse at level 3. That white mage has some buff strength. We have that fast sword. I mean, it's not going to do anything phenomenal, but hey, a white mage is absolutely capable of taking down Chaos with that Massa and a bunch of Ruse caps.
And we have Saber. We do have the Saber Gauntlet. That came out of the Sky Chest.
True.
Yeah, no, you could go the route of just saying, you know what? Everything else is ablative shielding for my white mage. My white mage is about to murder everything.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I mean, I think I think the first play, we're going to see Pickles and Beer make the first play here. I think partially because Ike here's stuck on this grind, and Pickles already did his ordeals. But my thinking is, I've got a bottle, I have a vendor item in Gaia, that's 2 for the price of 1. If that ends up being loot and key, I'm in go mode, I'm killing carry, and I'm going to Topher with exactly what we have right now in our inventory.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this shakes out. But I think Ike here's plan there was get my black belt to level 21, exhaust my spell supply. And it looks like he's achieved both of those aims, so we are back on the open seas and going to go get our airship. But yeah, I think these mini grinds, the fact that Ike here hasn't really found anywhere good to grind a black belt, might push him more toward that sort of, you know, a black belt is still very good once you're in the 20s. It's not One Punch Man, but it's still Goku.
Right.
Okay, fine. Maybe closer to like TN. But,
I'll take TN.
The point stands. The point stands.
It does. Stronger than a Krillin, but not quite a Gohan. I gotcha.
Yeah.
And let's see what this shop item is.
And, well, there's our key. If that fairy's got a musical instrument today, Ike here may just go straight into Sky and try to loot quick chest to find something. And there's the loot. Okay. So now we get interesting.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic news for Pickles and Beer. And if I'm Ike here, I'm probably gonna have a mini panic at this point. Just because we haven't found, like, he's still got that black belt strat in the back of his head, but he hasn't found his grind tile yet. He doesn't have that massa from Sky. So I think if I was in his shoes, I would be incredibly worried about what fighter comps are doing at the moment.
Yeah, I'm apt to agree on that point. And it's also one of those things, if I took the Ice Volcano play early, and, you know, it's one of those things that's a little bit trickier because there's no telling when someone who did that is going to get that floater. Like, they'd have to have made that on-ramp gamble. The point being, if I made that Ice Volcano play, as soon as I see that key in Loot and Gaia, I go, oh no. Oh no. Because whatever's in ice is unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like, that's the ruse stick or the tail. Ooh, but Pickles and Beer gonna cede a little bit of time by checking Lefane first.
Though, honestly, to be fair, with Pickles and Beer, he's doing the fighter lead, he's got the saber bonk, he knows that this is either tail or ruse stick. Regardless of which one it is, it's going to benefit him. So, I don't think anything coming out of this is going to be bad news for him.
Yeah, well,
that ruse is good.
Yeah, that's the thing is, Pickles and Beer didn't know that was going to be one of two things. He did Lefane before Gaia. Like he jumped to Lefane, and now he's going to go up to Gaia and go, oh, well, I'm glad to have this ruse stick, but also, crap, that was like a minute of my time that I could have saved here.
Yeah. Well, I guess my thought is that he knows that he's got 4 locations. He's hoping ice is not necessary. So, of these 3 locations, you've got key, you've got loot, and either tail or ruse stick. So, assuming that this gets him into go mode, whether he gets tail or ruse stick out of the third one, I think both of them are ultimately going to save him the time that he invested in walking to Lefane. Whether it's from getting a potential wipe to carry, or end up getting some thicker armor, or equipping better weapons. I think either way, Pickles is happy with how this turned out.
I mean, so he's got an opal bracelet. He's got flame armor +3. He's got a ribbon. I think his armor situation's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and judging by how he is routing this volcano, I think okay, he's going to stop in the treasury, or the armory. I don't hate it. It's a quick batch of chests, high density. If you pull a ribbon out of here, you're never going to complain.
Yeah. So I think in the context of this particular race, I think it's a risk. I mean, if this was a best of 3 and it's the first race, I would probably be behind this. If it's a last chance qualifier and I'm looking to beat out, 6 other people for a shot at being in the brackets, then I probably would have hit the gas and bypassed all this.
Same here, but I can see the logic. A second ribbon. If this is a hard Topher, and especially if you're in Pickles and Beer's shoes, like right now, I feel like Pickles and Beer is in about the best position anyone could be. He faded Ice Cave. He lost a little bit of time, I think, sailing to Mirage instead of going to on-rack first, but most people are not going to make that on-rack first play. Like, he knows there's only a handful of plays that can beat him. And, or that could be ahead of him right now. And so I can see him basically going, alright, there's only a handful of options that could be ahead of me right now. None of them have done. And, I'm looking at I went ahead and peeked the race room just to see if, like, 10 minutes ago, Pickles and Beer could have said that with confidence, and yeah, he could. So, he knows, that he's still in this. So I can see him basically going, I'm going to make a quick safety play. Yes, it's going to cost me a minute if there's nothing here, but if there's something here, then, if anyone who made the slightly better routing choices doesn't make this play, I'll blast past them in Topher.
Yeah.
Just from not having to heal as much.
Yeah, and Pickles is already starting to do that pre-Topher, thinking through armor and weapons. Probably going to check his heal pot count. Again, I don't think he did all of those levels early. I'm not sure he really should invest in anything else right now.
I think he's going to. He's got a fighter with almost 600 HP. He's got a thief with... we're looking at about... Alright, so we're looking at 350 on the thief, 270, 255 on the mages. So this is not ideal, because an early nuke or an early nuclear can be very, very bad for this party. The nice thing is, if he is going to take levels, this is where you want to take those levels. Like, being right outside Topher with Warp, you can just in and out.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately running into this unrunnable Badmen pack, getting some of those extra levels. Ikegear hit a blue stake a little bit earlier. It seems like he's not doing hard resets here in the desert. He's just trying to pick up encounters, and that's why he's taking this Rankolo fight. I'm not. It seems like he wants to bring up this black belt to a more competitive level. but I'm not sure he has the. I'm not sure this is how it's gonna be done.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you on that one. Just because, like, I think at this point, you haven't seen a black belt grind. You just have to give up on the black belt grind. At this point, your thief is your carry. You need to be opening boxes. You need to find something you can slap on this thief, or you need to find the tail.
Yeah.
And then take something that you've already found that's going to be good on this thief.
Yeah, the hard thing with taking a black belt is you either need to commit to the black belt or have a pivot in mind. And once you make the pivot, you have to pivot. And once you double down on the black belt, you have to double down on the black belt. You can't really do a bounce back and forth, which is kind of a little bit of what's happening. We do have that massa that's going on the thief, and we'll be finding that fast sword right there.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, that's Randomizer's 101 no matter what game you're playing. Once you make a choice, commit to the choice. Like, the thing that costs people time more than anything else in a randomizer, no matter what game it is not going, all right, I have made this decision, I'm committing to this decision. But yeah, no, I agree with you, I agree with that. You have a Masa in hand, you have a fast sword, that thief is now your melee carry, that black belt is there to supplement the thief.
I mean, even with that fast sword, you could throw that down on the white mage and double fast and try to use a double melee strat. But I think the bottom line is the concept of that black belt going to 32 and relying on that has to be out the door. And Pickles, unfortunately, getting yet another unrunnable metal slime encounter on this Topher floor.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of unrunnables in Topher. It almost feels vanilla. But, again, if you're in Pickles' shoes, I think you almost prefer, like, here's the thing about unrunnables in Topher. If you're Pickles, you know you're coming in off of a power site. Because I'm pretty sure Pickles has been power cycling this whole time.
Yeah.
So you know, anyone who beat you into Topher is having the exact same set of problems. And anyone who is coming in behind you into Topher is having the exact same set of problems. So, it's frustrating, it's annoying, but you have to not go get tilted when you see all these unrunnables. Because you're having the same problem that they're having.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have our first of our refights here with Lich. Had our first refight here with Lich, and Pickles is all the way onto the fire floor.
Yeah, Lich is one of those fights you have to respect for exactly one turn, because Lich does not get a second turn most of the time.
Yeah. Even in vanilla, he's got that wonderful nuke cast just waiting for you.
Yeah. The first turn you have to respect Lich, but after that you don't have to care. But speaking of fights that you do need to show some respect to, here's Carry 2.
Well, we saw a wall come out very early from Pickles, which is, I think, it's a strong move considering how many wall casts they have and how many fiends. I think there's one wall for every fiend that's upcoming, so getting it out early is just a nice little safety net on that fighter.
Yeah. And we are through with Carry 2. Did not show anything rude today aside from punching the thief very, very hard in the face. Pickles' thief a lot less well-armored than it probably once, because basically all of the good armor is either on the fighter or on the white mage.
Which is fine. I mean, he's used to it by now. He's got to be nimble. He's trying to dodge out of the way. He'll be fine.
Yeah, Ikir, meanwhile, on the Bridge of Destiny, pretty much like we predicted, as soon as Ikir pulled that fast sword and that Masa, it was, I'm done. I am now a thief. My thief is now my main, and everything else doesn't matter.
Except for this lovely little seafood party pack here that just has a chunk of HP and is unrunnable.
Yeah, but we have a Harm 3 stick.
Yeah, I don't know where we picked that up, but that's a nice little pickup.
I do know where I did see Pickles pick it up. I'm trying to remember. I want to say I think that might actually been out of the Volcano Treasury. That was it was that in the X-Cal that we pulled out of the armory.
Yeah, that works then. But man, just these unrunnables making this Topher take forever.
I mean, the bright side is the best weapon for that thief is still a coral sword.
Yeah, exactly. That is very true.
The bright side in all of this is we do have a coral sword for the thief.
You know, there's a lot of unrunnables, and I might die, but thank God I got a coral +3.
Yep. Saber Gauntlet coming out. Fast and Wall coming out on both sides. Oh, hi, Fast. I think he's got his roost stick on his thief, actually.
No, I think it's up there on the.
No, the fighter sabered.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the fighter sabered. So I think Pickles is all in on dodge tank strats, and hey, it worked.
Yeah, exactly.
Kraken hit the thief once for exactly one hit, and then died.
No, and now we've got that final stretch, which, I mean, typically you let your hair down after Kraken 2, and Tia 2 isn't quite as bad. Tia can still have some ugly tricks under her sleeve, so we'll see if she does anything particularly nasty. And you're right, that was the thief with the ruse, trying to make sure that he can dodge out. Nuclear is going to be not good.
Yeah, it's hard to dodge a nuke, but here's the thing: the White Mage is still up. The White Mage has a lot of curative spells. And that was what I was about to say is, yeah, you can let your hair down after crack 2, but we haven't seen anything bad today.
Except for crack.
Okay. We haven't seen anything bad on anything until Tia 2. Like, I'm saying from the perspective of after Kraken 2. So, yeah, so that's the thing, is there was a lot of bad things we haven't seen, which means it's on Tia 2 and Chaos.
We'll see how this keeps going.
As this current situation plays out, yeah. Unfortunately, I think all of our fast options are on dead blue people at the moment.
Well, and Tia's got some absorb, getting like 5 hits and only 200 or 300 damage out of it. But there you go, 5 hits for 520, and that's, I mean, he's got the life cast. He should be fine to pick up everybody and have all 4 going into this chaos fight.
And, yeah, we don't have Cure 4, but we've got plenty of shots of Cure 3. We've got a very healthy potion stock, because Pickles has been taking full advantage of that White Mage's capabilities, and also very intelligently healing before moving. Alright.
Yeah, I mean, we've had so many cases of hitting those vampire pack or iron galls or all sorts of other nasty things on that floor.
Alright, Pickles, moving gear around, that fighter is ribboned, has a massa, and everything going into fortifying this party now. Taking a moment, thinking about who to wall up, going to go ahead and apply that saber, gonna throw Temper on. Yeah, here comes the fast sword.
Wait, deciding to wall the... Oh, okay, I thought he was walling the thief. Very smart for doing that with the White Mage, though.
Yeah. Granted, if your plan was to keep the White Mage alive, yeah, I can see keeping the Black Mage in the back. But yeah, heal 3 comes out, gets everyone back up to snuff. I think I just saw that fast... No, the Brack... cheek Brack play on Chaos. I don't hate it.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Brat can crack through, and that's 6 hits for 700 damage. Lock coming out to make it easier for that fighter to hit things. Bane comes out, everyone resists. Another shot of Lock. 8 hits, 600. Basically the front line now just standing there, daring Chaos to hit them in the face. Temper coming out, 9 hits, 1000, and that is a dead Chaos, and that is Pickles and Beer finishing in first place with an official time of 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 50 seconds. Pickles and Beer has made it into the brackets. But yeah, get those GGs in chat. We're going to see if we can get Pickles and Beer in here to chat.
Yeah, and as you said, Pickles not only coming in first place here on the restream, Pickles also coming in first place overall, winning that spot, that coveted last bracket spot in our spring tournament. And we are joined here in the booth by Pickles and Beer. GG, Pickles.
Yeah, GG, Pickles. Your
GG.
prize is you have to play crab cakes.
Yeah, is it really a GG?
Okay, so you routed this seed about as well as anyone could have. Like, I think the only way your routing could have been more efficient is if you'd made the cheeky on-rack play before going into Sky.
Right, yep. Yeah, I felt pretty good about that. For once, I've been having some bad routing lately, and it all seemed to come together this time.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things, like, you and Ike here actually marry each other very closely for a while. Like, it wasn't until you went to Ordeals and Ike here went to Waterfall was the first real point of divergence. Otherwise, you both made the decision, I'm just gonna fade ice. If something's in ice, it's whatever. So was that a deliberate, as long as the floater's not in ice, I can just come back later?
Yeah, I was following the key items where they led me, and after Earth, the Ordeals was... I had the Oxy already, figured I'd run down to Ordeals and Waterfall. If those gave me things, then I would not do ice, because I was been falling into the trap of looking for like loose items, because if I go to ice, I'm gonna have to go to water or volcano when I'm in the area, and I was not ready to dig it yet, and got lucky the second loose was in Waterfall, and we were off.
Yeah, and I believe that was Ike here forfeiting. It looked like he lost most of his party or something along those lines. Or it could have been him terminating the stream before something bad, like after something bad happened. Or, hey, Ike here, do you want to join us in the booth, or are you good to sit and chat? No worries either way. All right, Ike here, yeah, Ike here's going to come on up as well. So, Ike here, GG.
GG's. Yeah, I didn't see it on stream. I did make it to Tier 2, but then Tier 2 nuked me and cracked me and killed everybody with the White Mage. And punched him to death, and that's why I forfeited.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. So, yeah, so we were saying to Pickles, like, you two had very similar routing through the early game. Like, at every decision point, y'all both kind of made the same choice for seemingly different reasons. But yeah, so really the divergence point was, Pickles, you went to Ordeals, you got that cube, and you said, sky, 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 sky.
Oh yeah, follow those required dungeons that have incentives.
Yeah, and yeah, Ike here, you made the decision, you know what, I'm just going to go over to OnRack, there's a 2/3 chance that's my vendor item, and I can get that guaranteed item out of Waterfall, and I've got the Oxio. And in the process, you found your other loose item before you had to dig out Siege Shrine. So,
So happy about that.
yeah.
Decided to put that in my Bane.
Yeah, so Pickles, we were doing some sort of speculation on your mindset as you're going through Topher, and maybe you can clarify, like, our guesses here. So, you knew going into Topher, like, really the only play that could have gotten into Topher before you is fighter comp, fading Ice Cave, going to Onrak first. Just because of the speed advantage of the airship. Was there any concern in your mind that someone did that? Or were you feeling pretty good about your positioning as you were kind of wading through all those unrunnable fights?
I felt pretty good about it. Yeah, if you would have gone to Waterfall first, that would have been, god routing, but I figured if anyone was ahead of me, it could not have been much more than a minute or two.
And that's sort of what we were thinking. So, speaking of party comp, so we all saw what the Blursings looked like in this. So, Pickles, you opted for Fighter Thief Black-White, and Aikir, you went Thief Black Belt White-Black. So, Pickles, starting with you, sort of, why did you go fighter with this? Was it just like, even with Black Mage strength, the fighter's gear access makes up for that?
Yeah, Black Mage strength doesn't do that much to the fighter. It hurts a little bit, but nothing a Temper or two doesn't overcome. And the Black Belt it's a risk because you are not. I've had enough seeds where if there's not a hit percent blessing on the Black Belt, I'm probably not taking it unless the fighter has something like the Black Mage HP growth. Then I might not do that one because nothing like a late 20s fighter and with still under 400 HP.
That makes sense. And the Thief, obviously, you mostly took as a dodge tank.
Yep.
Yeah. Aikir, what about you? What kind of pushed you toward the Black Belt? Is that just are you just more comfortable with the Black Belt strap, or? I
wanted to take the fighter, but the Black Mage strength was kind of putting me off that. I don't have enough experience to know how much that is a detriment to the fighter. It turns out when I found that XCal +1, I think it was, I'm like, ooh, I wish I had taken fighter now. But finding the Massa made the Thief kind of like a fighter, just with weaker armor, and we kind of showed when he got nuked a bit, and he didn't survive some of those. Black Belts I took because they can punch. I think they had a minus 10% hit, or minus 10% magic defense.
It was minus 10
which probably hurt when I got cracked on Tia 2. But it just didn't have any defense for that. Once it was dead, it's like, okay, I'm dead then. But I've been running Black Belt, other things, and I tried to kill off my Thief. I think you saw when I was in the desert going into air, and the Thief just did not want to die. I wanted to get some levels on the Black Belt, but this was not working out. So I said, screw it, and went. And then I found the Mass immediately. I'm like, okay, Thief's going.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of the thing about we've noticed in this tournament is sort of like, a lot of times you're better off taking the comp you're comfortable with than trying to necessarily play to the seed. Unless it's just something god awful like no ribbon on a white mage or something like that, where it's just like, no, I need this.
Yeah, I was completely debating up until go fighter or Black Belt, and I already have Black Belt on there, so I said, screw it, I'm saying with that. If I had to go back and do it again, I would have taken fighter easily.
Yeah, I mean, the other bright side to think about though with that XCal is thanks to Pickles opting to go down to Lefane. I'm going to ask you about that in a second, Pickles. We know that the tail was locked behind the herb, which was an ice cave.
Yep.
So yeah, I wouldn't have gotten XCal.
Yeah. So
yep.
Pickles,
I wanted it, but didn't have time.
Hopefully you found the Massa.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, I don't usually check Mirage 1, but I did not have a weapon yet, so I'm like, there's a pretty... I should be able to clear all that with just one encounter, so figured I'd try it.
Yeah, I felt the same way, and it's easy enough to reset out once you check all the chests and nothing there.
Yeah, so Pickles, you opted to just run down to Lefane before popping into Gaia, and I think at that point you had enough knowledge to know Gaia was your vendor item. What was sort of the rationale behind that play?
Their items remaining, I wanted all of them, so no matter what it was, I was keeping it. Had it been tail, I would have promoted. So
Okay,
yep.
so
I was taking it no matter what.
okay, so yeah, so it was a sort of a okay. I see the rationale there. So it was a sort of a I'm just gonna do these. I'm gonna do these both no matter what I pull out of either location.
Yep.
Yeah, all right, so that makes sense.
Yep. All the dud, like with that party, the only real dud is the ruby if you already have the airship, and the roost stick and the saber bonk and the tail are all really nice for that party.
Yeah, and today we know that, and I mean it's one of those things. Today you needed that ruby, so like the only zonk in theory was the tail, and even then the tail, you wanted the tail, and I don't think IQ would have turned up his nose at the tail if it had popped up.
I would have taken it because Life 2 on the White Mage.
Yep,
Definitely wanted that.
Same, I wanted that bad, but I was like, ice, even with warp, like, nope, gotta go.
Yeah. So let's see here. Devious, do you have any questions while I think of more things to ask?
Nah, I mean, I think you pretty much covered all of it. I guess the one thing that I was thinking about for Ikir was, did finding that loose floater and waterfall make things better or worse for you?
I was very happy to find it because that was my second loose item, and I didn't have to go search for anything else except the weapon. But obviously, I did everything else up at the area that was useful with the canoe before going there. But I was very happy to find it. It did not change really my routing at all because my next stop would have been Volcano and Ice Cave, anyways. And I think I went right to. I was going to check the bottle first. I wanted to see if I was in go mode already.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know that for a lot of people, we kind of had an interesting 2 seeds for the play-in race and the last chance qualifier. The play-in race, very much a jet seed with an early airship and a black belt comp, whereas this was a little bit slower with more focus on a fighter comp. So I was just curious if that ended up kind of mixing up your plans, or if that made it better. And it sounds like you already had a good system anyway, and it just kind of made it go a little bit faster.
I just thought I made it better because there were no more loose items. That tripped me up in the play-in race because the loose items were useless, but I was still looking for them because you never know. But this one the floater made it a lot easier, a lot more straightforward.
So, Ike, actually, I do have a question for you as well. So, early on, outside of Crescent, I think it was, we saw you head into the river system, and then something happened, and then you reset and you went on your merry way to anywhere that wasn't the river system. Was there something nasty up there that we just didn't see because it happened too quick?
No, I wanted to, I changed my mind when I was starting to head to ice. I'm like, ice is ugly. I don't have warp yet. I'd have to walk out. I'm gonna go check this crown first. And then realized I didn't study at the end, so I had to go back to the crown again. So it was completely to follow the crown. Just taking a gamble.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're gonna start winding up here and see if we can get folks over to SG4 for the last little bit of their race. So, Ike here, we're going to start with you. Final thoughts and thoughts on your tournament experience as a whole.
I enjoyed the tournament. The tournament was good. The flag set was great to play in, and just looking forward to more. And we'll do the next Duck Derby, and hopefully I'll be out of Duck status after that one. GG's, Pickles and Beer. Good luck in your match against Crab Cakes. Congrats on the win.
Yeah. Thank you, GG to you as well, Ike here.
Yeah, Pickles, any other thoughts on the seed? Anything you want to say in advance of your first bracket round?
First, thanks to all you, Woe, Ego Dev, Devious, and Darkmoon for putting this on. And I guess I'm looking forward to brackets. I mean, I'm just gonna play fast and loose.
I mean, that's what you got to do. Like crab cakes, being completely honest with you, crab cakes is going to out-execute you. You're going to need to play fast and loose. You're going to need to gamble, but it is not unwinnable. She's just very, very good at what she does.
There's always a chance.
There's always a chance. Rando gonna rando, but yeah, no, it's one of those things. Like,
It'll be fun.
We're obviously everyone is talking about it like, it's a foregone conclusion. It ain't a foregone conclusion. I'm going to bet on you in our prediction pool.
Oh, well, thanks.
But yeah, so good luck to you, Pickles. DVS, do you have any final thoughts before we throw things over to SG4?
No, I mean, I think you pretty much covered it. As was said earlier, a big thanks to our two runners, Ike here and Pickles and Beer, for showing us two very different parties with two different approaches, and I think both trying to make the best of the party that's in front of us. Thank you to Dark Moon for restreaming to us, the Final Fantasy community, and the Final Fantasy Randomizer Twitch channel, which is our channel, which is kind of cool to say. Thank you all for watching. We are going to head over to SG4 after this. We have Reese is on their Tia 2 fight, and ADR is on in their Topher dive as well. So we're going to try to catch the end of that. And other than that, thank you to Woat for kind of taking the lead on this one and for talking us through it.
Then let's go ahead and get on over there, everyone. Go ahead and go support the runners who are still going. Let's get out of here, Dark Moon.